Hello everyone, greetings for the day. And today we're going to talk about life history of Dr. Maria Montessori. So, we have heard so much about her. We know and we have been consistently practicing her work in most of the schools, and many of the fellow students of mine and the teachers who are following up the course has already been a part of learning and practicing Dr. Maria Montessori's work. So, even in the previous sessions, we were talking more about her life history. We also saw about her early childhood education. We also learned about the struggle and the famous people who actually influenced Dr. Maria Montessori. So, taking it further, we also have in today's session that we're going to be also having this small recapitulation of whatever we learned so far, right? So, and whatever we knew yesterday, we also had an assignment wherein you had to also share your knowledge. And thank you so much for writing in the previous recording and in the previous video about this assignment. So, I think everybody has almost submitted. There are some students who have not submitted. In case if you have not, I want you all to do that today itself. So, having said that, let's quickly have a recap. Maria was born on 31st August 1870 in a very small town of Italy that was called as Chiravale. Her father was Alessandro. He was the accountant in the civil service. Her mother, Renal Stoffani, she was a very, very educated lady and she had passion for reading. She greatly influenced Maria right from her younger days, right? So Maria was self-confident. We also learned that Maria was always optimistic. She was greatly interested in things, and that made Maria a brilliant student. And she had great ability to learn and grasp things so easily. She did exceptionally well in her exams, and both her dad, Alexandro, and her mom, Renald, often had trouble deciding what was best for their talented daughter. And given all those options, Maria had to take up certain things in her academics. Maria was not only as bright in academics, but she also was good at sports. She was also good at games. And that's the reason she always led the team, and she was like leading, and she was in most of the activities she was participating as leader in her schools, in games, in whatever that she practiced or she participated in. And we also saw that how Maria became the first lady doctor of Italy, even though the University of Rome did not allow her to enroll into the medical course because she was a woman, and because of the gender differences, even though they did not allow, Maria did not give up. She decided to study something apart from medicine. She studied physics, she studied mathematics, she also took up natural sciences. In 1892 is where she gives exam and she receives her first diploma. That was Diploma di Licenza. That made her eligible to study medicine. But what was it? Again, was she given opportunity to study medicine? No. Admission to colleges of medicine again denied because she was a woman, and all this caused Maria to lose up on the medical examination. But Maria never gave up. It was said that she was given a seat in the course because Pope Leo XIII recommended her. He observed her work, he observed how much of interest Maria had, and because of this wonderful, amazing person, she could actually get a seat in the field of medicine and in the medical college. We also learned in the previous session that what were the challenges that she faced in the medical college. But keeping that aside, we always have to appreciate that she was the first lady doctor of Italy, right? So in 1896 is where Maria presents a thesis. People were still not happier with her work. They asked her to submit the thesis, and there were 10 men in that particular board who were continuously monitoring Maria's work. And you know what? After continuous observation by all these board members, the board was highly impressed by what Maria was actually performing there with her work, and they grant her the degree of Doctor of Medicine. And thus, Maria becomes the first woman, or I could say the first lady doctor of Italy, and she graduates from the medical school in Italy. And that is the history. See, always good things do not happen just like that spontaneously, right? So we need to also have consistent perseverance, and at the same time, we need to also not give up on whatever goal that we actually have it. And that proves Maria as one of the strong lady, and she becomes the first doctor of Italy. From there is what we now see. How does Maria have an initiation towards the field of education. So far, the struggle was only towards medical. She wanted to get into a medical college. She wanted to do her doctorate in medicine, but that was a different story. But how did she get into the field of education is totally another different story. And we also talk about Cassidy Bambini. And as I mentioned, Casa means it's a house for children. Cassidy Bambini is children's home. That is where Maria starts her schooling, and that is how she names her first schooling as Casa di Bambini. So we're going to see that journey today. So this is the first school that Maria Montessori started, and the first Montessori school is called as Casa di Bambini. So note down this name. It's called Casa di Bambini, which means home for children, and that's the first Montessori school ever. The success of all her method, because she was actually working with Gianetta and Edward Seguin, and she also got influenced by their work because she was doing a research based analysis, right, for all the mentally challenged children in Schola Andre Francia, right? So because of all that success stories, Maria was now wanting to do, when Maria questioned herself, like, in case if I can do this wonderful education to mentally challenged children or children who had those special abilities, why can't I have this kind of methodology for normal conventional education? And the ways in which the children failed in exams. So that means even for normal children, it is very difficult to pass all the examinations, right? And she wanted to do with those children also in a very normal way. And children were often failing in exams, but because of the Montessori education, we saw children were actually passing out the examination. So she started wanting to know more about that. She wanted to work more on the human mind. That is when Maria goes back to the University of Rome. She again pursues her psychology. She again works on philosophy. She works on many things which was related to children and their education. And she comes back again to her institute and she starts working. Now, again, looking at all the good work that Maria has been doing in the university, in 1904 is where she gets an appointment. So she was highly praised and she was appointed as the professor of anthropology at the same university. See, initially there was no admission for her. She got the admission into medicine. Again, there was so much of struggles for her, but still she got through because of her hard work. And then she did a lot of research. She applied it with normal conventional schools and the children who were mentally challenged. She again goes back to the same university, does her courses in psychology and philosophy, and looking at all the great work what Maria was doing at that particular time, the university itself is going to appoint her as the professor of anthropology there in the same university. And what do you think that Maria would do there? Yes, Maria accepts that. Now, at the same time, the government also starts recognizing her work. And because of all the experiences what she has at Schola Andre Francia. So Schola Andre Francia is a place. This is where she actually conducts a lot of research, development and other thing, right? So Maria was asked to open a school for such slum development project areas. And she brings in a lot of children from there also, and she starts. And they ask her to do a particular project. They ask her to educate these children who are from the very slum areas and other things. So all these things happened in a very small district of San Lorenzo in Rome. So Maria then does not even think about even for a while, and she says, okay, why not? Why cannot I start something like this for the children who are not very privileged? And she establishes a school on 6th of January 1907 and formally tells it as Cassidy Bambini, which means children for house, and which started with 60 children and whose parents were workers. And we can now imagine, so children have slum development. So it's very difficult to bring them to school, first of all, because they are not very educative to come to school. So they would not maintain time. And again, health and hygiene is also another factor. And moreover, they would not be consistent because they keep moving from one place to another. So there were so many challenges that Maria had to face with these 60 children. But Maria decides, okay, let me start working with these 60 children. So it's like, she has to start everything from scratch, right? From disciplining them, getting them on time to school, and many more other areas. It's like, how we have our development, the earlier Anganwadis and other things, like how teachers used to go to everybody's homes, right? And they used to encourage the children to come. to schools, and that is when the midday meals, everything started, and because of all of that, children started coming to schools. And similarly, Maria also had to go through so many things, and she worked with all the 60 children, and this is her first school, so this is how it actually looked like, the first Montessori school. So what did she do at her casa? So when I say about casa, it is her house of children, right? So this is where the work actually carried out. So at this casa, children reveal their true nature. So that means there was no hidden rules. She did not educate like how to behave, how to be, how to walk, how to sit, nothing. So she just left them free, and children were like, all by themselves. So that means they were in their own true self, they were in their own true nature, and many of them were unbelievable of not what widely we could understand. So this is something called as a child nature. When you give them a toy, the child can continuously play for 10 minutes or 15 minutes, but as an adult, we want to take that away and we want to give another toy because we've already bought that, we have invested into it, right? So this is something that Maria did not do in her casa. She just left the children, and to her notice that she understood that this is what is the child's nature. The child will play, the child will explore only when he wants to, but if he is not wanting to do or play with that, he's generally going to keep that away and he will start with other things. So this was first thing that Maria observed in the casa. Second thing is like what she left was like she looked at every child, the way that they were actually effortlessly working. So, and the amount of knowledge that the children were absorbing from the surroundings, or we can say from the environment, children were working and working, and they was not at all getting tired, because they had so much of interest in manipulating all those materials, in learning about all those materials. So this itself gave Maria a scientific observation. She was noting each and every point of what these children were doing it, and that itself helped Maria to completely create her own system of education. Now her system, her lesson plan, her methodology was totally based upon all these observations, which was scientifically proven, which nobody told, but these children did it for themselves, and that too effortlessly, absorbing everything from the surroundings. Whatever was kept, they were actually working, and with the tireless interest of manipulating all those materials. And whatever material that she gave, we call those as equipments, right? So every piece of equipment, every exercise, every method what Maria developed was totally based on observing these children who were doing everything naturally, all by themselves, and also they were not assisted by any adults. So children did all by themselves. So this was the first lesson that we learned in this Montessori schooling, or this casa, or I could say Maria's casa. So Maria did not teach anything, she just left the children and they explored, and that is when she wrote up her methodology of teaching, just by observing these children naturally. Okay, so that is something which is very nice. So every word, if you see in your book also, you can underline it. Okay, so this is such a powerful statement that I could see. Every piece of equipment, every exercise, every method, whatever Maria developed was totally based on what she observed these children were doing naturally by themselves, unassisted by an adult. So this is such a powerful statement, all of them we have it. And the second important statement that we have to note it is, children were teaching themselves. So that means there was auto education happening. So I was learning by own myself, right? So children were teaching themselves. So this was also like a profound truth that Maria felt in her class. Okay, every education methodology should have this. So children should learn themselves, children should teach others, children should be able to dedicate their self learning or self creating processes. So those things are very, very important. And this she learned when she was also doing her a course which was related to psychology, right? So Maria wanted to give more importance to these particular points also, so she started writing on these also. Like her education methodology, she also made sure that children will learn by themselves, or children can teach one another. So this was also one of the most important point that we will have to be taking it up. But later, since her work was so getting popularized, the government itself was asking Maria to conduct more trainings. So they also wanted Maria to start having more and more centers, because her work was totally good enough. Now, before this, what we can also say is like, Maria, after all these things, she'll make all those students appear for state level examination, and everybody would pass out with great marks. And that is when the government of Rome will also identify Maria's work, and that is how Maria will also come down to the limelight. They want her to, start up many Montessori centers, but it was not very easy for Maria. So that is when she decided that let me also train many people. So that's how the first Montessori teacher training started. And based on all the observations and research, what she had in Schola Entre Francia, wherein she met Friedrich Froebel, where she met Giannettard, Edward Seguin, all that observations were very helpful. So based on all those researches, what she had, and her experience at Cassidy Bambini, her schooling, Maria combined all of them, and she put together, and she made it as a new method of teaching. And that method of teaching, she has still not named it, and we all know it. It's called as the Montessori way of teaching. In the year 1909 is where Maria conducts her first teacher training all across the world. Oh no, so she conducts one training. That is where teachers came from around the world. They attended the training sessions, and that helped Maria to spread her work. She explained about how to do it and what kind of research and development that needs to be done. Still, it was not reachable. She could not conduct trainings to many people. So that is when she published a book which had all her principles. And the name of the book is called Scientific Pedagogy as Applied to Child's Education for Children's Houses. Okay. So this is the book. It is also available now. If anyone wants to read about what Maria has written, so you can buy it from Amazon. So the book is available. So you can buy this book. It's always helpful in case if you're a Montessori teacher, you can buy this. And from there onwards, the book will also have a lot of ideas on the French educators, as I mentioned, Jean Ettard, Dr. Edward Sequin. Montessori proposed a lot of stimulation activities because learning through senses was also very important, right? So she has written a lot of things on that, which helps the child stimulation for the child's mind through good amount of constructive activities, which indirectly helps the child to work on the self-esteem. So this is all there, and she speaks about all this in her trainings as well. And slowly what happens, Maria's work will start getting spread across the globe. And then Maria gets a call from which place? So who's the first person who called her for her this thing? It is she gets a call from United States of America. So she gets the invitation, and you think that Maria would go. So she gets the invite in 1913. So the invitation was sent by Margaret Wilson, who was the daughter of the president of USA. And Maria immediately visits, accepts the invitation. She goes to US. But same time, what happens? They do not encourage the work at the beginning, and at the same year, there was also, like, one of the association which was set up, like a Montessori Educational Association was also set up in Washington. So Alexander Graham Bell and his wife Mabel, so they would also invite Maria Montessori to their home in Washington, and they get to understand a little bit more about Montessori's work. But again, Maria was not given the important immediate attention towards the education, and people were totally against. Many people were also against the Montessori education at that particular time. So Maria needed to have strong advocates also. So Thomas Alva Edison and Helen Keller were the strong advocates of Maria Montessori. And also, like, she wanted to promote more on her work, right? Because we want to have a lot of appreciation about what is Montessori education and teaching. So Ayn Rand, so he was the person who considered Montessori methods as more individualistic and reason-based alternatives for the progressive education. So he started writing more in his novels about Montessori education. So these three people also somewhere they helped Maria's work to get appreciated and to be seen to the outer world and other things. So these people play a very vital role in Maria's life as well. Again, then Maria goes back again, but again in 1915, again Maria gets the invitation to come down to USA and to set up a classroom in Panama Pacific. Okay, so that was in San Francisco. So they asked her to set up a classroom, not the school, only one classroom. and there will be like, 21 spectators. Oh, sorry, there were so many spectators who watched 21 children. Because why do you think so that they did that? Because Montessori method was very new, and Maria's principles were so different. She said everything children will have to learn by themselves. It is related to child teaching another child or child learning by themselves, and all the materials are kept open, and everything is related to sensory education and all of that. So people were not that very keen in understanding about this methodology. They said, okay, let's not open up a good school, but let's try and start with a classroom. And they started in Panama Pacific, and with 21 children, so many spectators they watch. And they put a glass wall and other things so that they would be able to see, and Maria is not able to see them. So what happened? This continued for months after months. But again, when they were about to reach 4 months, they saw that the children were able to do so much, not only on the sensory education and other things. Children were able to do language, they were able to do math and many things. So that was like very happy moment for those spectators also, and they decide to award Maria. So she wins 2 gold medals because of her education, what she had actually given it to that particular class. And this experiment was conducted by US, right? And it drew a lot of worldwide attention, and thus the field of education was never the same again. And moreover, there was no rote learning from there onwards, and there was a new education style which actually came down to the world. And again, in US, because it's a very big country, and they wanted to set up more and more classrooms and schools which were based upon Montessori's education. And they request Maria to conduct teacher training courses in US, and Maria agrees for all of that, and she addresses a lot of annual conventions in both National Education Association and International Kindergarten Union. And she attends, she trains their teachers, and then she was also invited to Europe. See, the work is getting spread so very well. As soon as she finishes her work in US, now she gets a call from Europe, right? And based upon all of that, she conducts everything and she comes back to Europe. And that is where in Europe at that particular time the Spanish government was ruling, and the Spanish government invites Maria, and not for training and not for teaching another thing, but they wanted her to set up a research institute. Okay, now since she agrees, and the research institute was all set up in the 1917 itself, and then they ask her also to conduct teacher training courses, and she goes to London in 1919, and she also conducts. But again, see, there's a long period in Europe that she's going to stay also. In 1922 is where Mussolini takes over the government of Italy. And Mussolini, being a politician, he wanted Maria to follow his ideals, right? Maria also was like supporting, and she was there. Whatever the government says, they have to actually support. So initially, what Mussolini did was, Benito Mussolini, you would have all heard about him, and he encouraged Maria so much. He supported for the movement in Italy. He funded for all the Montessori schools, and so much he did to encourage education, to start up Montessori schools in Italy and everything. And he established, or he helped Maria also to establish lots and lots of training centers. See, everything was going so very well. The Montessori schools also flourished so much in Italy. But soon, what happened? Mussolini was also having these colonial ambitions. So it was all during the times of our World War, right? So every country had their own colonial ambitions, same as Mr. Mussolini also was nurturing some kind of colonial ambitions. In 1934 is where he was planning to attack on an African state of Abyssinia. So there was an attack, right? And they were planning to attack. Now, to carry out this particular attack, he wanted lots and lots of people from Italy to participate, especially the youth. And he wanted to encourage them. He wanted to get them interested in participating in the war and other thing. Now, to support all of that, Mussolini also sets up a fascist youth organization. Now, in that youth organization, the members will have to wear uniform at all the times, and they gave this fascist salute. Okay, so this was one of the rule that Mussolini also had it. But again, he did not stop there. not only the youth, and Mussolini wanted the children of all the schools also to enroll into this youth organization. Now, this was something which was triggering to all the schools, right? So usually colonial ambitions and other things, we do not encourage children to participate, right? But Mussolini insisted that even the children should participate. And he also said that even the younger children from Montessori schools also should participate, or they have to enroll into this fascist organization. So Maria was not okay with that. Maria completely disagreed on this, and she did not comply with his wishes. So what do you think that Mussolini would do? He immediately ordered to close all the Montessori schools in Italy. And it happened so many years Maria took to build all of them, and just with one order, they had to shut down all the schools in no time. And he also told Maria should be exiled from Italy. So that was her birthplace, and Maria was exiled from Italy because she did not agree to accomplish his wishes, where the students had to participate in the, enroll into the organization. So this was one of the sad story of Maria. Okay, so which happened during that particular time. So she was exiled, but she had to move somewhere. So she goes to Spain, and she lives there until 1936. Again, that period is not good, right? Again, there was a civil war which broke in Spain. See, all the countries had war at that particular time, and it was like Maria's education was also flourishing. So many Western educations were coming up, and so as Maria's education was also, getting limelight, and people were noticing her work. So war broke out in Spain, so she had to move out from there also, right? So again, there in Spain, there was a General Franco. Again, he is also another fascist who takes over the government of Spain. And she was rescued by a British cruiser, and she came to Netherlands. Okay, so Maria had difficult times in Spain also, but she was totally rescued, and she came to Netherlands, and she stayed in Netherlands for some time until everything calms down and settles down. And at the same time, she opens another training center. Okay, so simultaneously Maria is not stopping her work. She continues to, open centers or conduct trainings and other things. So she succeeds in opening a training center in Laren, and she continues her work in the same country. So in Netherlands, she also spent almost like 1.5 year to 2 years. She actually stays, and she continues her work in that country till 1939. After that, she gets the invitation from India. And Maria was so happy, and she comes back and she travels down to India. Now, who were the people who actually invited Maria to come down to India? So that was in the year 1939. The Theosophical Society of India, they extend the invitation to Maria. And at that time, Maria was 69 years of old. And she accepts this invitation. She reaches India the same year. And the journey from Holland in those days would have been very, very tedious. But Maria did not find it that difficult. She did not feel tired. She actually comes down with full energy because she wanted to start her work in India as well. Okay, so whom with she comes with? She comes with her son Mario, and she met Adyar, and she made Adyar Chennai as her home, and she lived there along with her son Mario. Okay, so this is the picture of Adyar at that particular time, and she stays over here. Now this is all there, and Maria stays with her son and Adyar in Chennai. So Rani Rukmini Devi was a Bharatanatyam dancer, and who was a founder of Kalakshetra. Okay, so these are the people, Sydney Arundale and Rukmini Devi. They invite Maria Montessori during the time of the Theosophical Society. You can also see that, Rukmini Devi's husband, George Sydney Arundale, he was the president of Theosophical Society of India at that time. And they were a couple, and they invite Maria. And Kalakshetra is very, very famous for music, for dance, and other fine arts. Even now it is functioning. And Maria meets these people, and she accepts the invitation, and she stays in India for a very long time. Again, there, the World War II also starts in India. But India, when she enters in 1940, even India entered into war. But she and her son were interned as enemy aliens, I could say that. But Maria was not allowed to conduct the training courses. They said you cannot conduct the training courses because the wars going on. And so she had to quieten up and slow down her trainings and classes which were happening in India. So she stayed in India after the World War till 1946. She stayed. And then again, she returns back to Europe for a small, short period. And in 1947, she finds another center. She founds another center in London. Again, Maria comes back to India the same year. And Maria conducts simultaneously 16 Indian Montessori training courses. How beautiful is that? She meets all those amazing people, and simultaneously, she also conducts 16 Indian Montessori training courses with her son. And most of them, they happened in Chennai. And that's the reason IMTC was set up in Chennai. Okay, the first center, because she conducted the trainings in Chennai. So this was the journey of Maria in India. And sooner she wanted to, also have a good foundation. So that's the reason she also travels to Pakistan, neighboring country of India, in 1949. And then again she goes back to Europe. So this is her journey where she all spreads a lot of Montessori work. US, UK, sorry, US. Then she goes back to Spain and Netherlands, and then the other places of India. Then again she comes back to Pakistan and a lot of places. And during the last days, okay, from here, the last days of Maria Montessori, she kept on doing her work. And Maria started giving a lot of presentations, and she was giving a lot of speech and trainings on the Montessori education. And since she was a Nobel Peacemaker, she was nominated for her Nobel Peace for 3 consecutive years, on 49, on 1950, and 1951. Okay. So this was something which happened during the last days of Maria Montessori. But in 1951 is where Maria goes back. She from India, she goes back to Holland. So she made Noordwijk aan Zee, a coastal town, her home. And last few days of Maria Montessori's life is characterized by the same activity. So till her last day, she had that zeal, whatever she had it throughout her career. Such self-sacrificing work that she actually did on behalf of whoever child came to her. And suddenly on 6th of May 1952 is where Maria loses her life. At that particular time, Maria was 82 years when she passes away. But still, her work lives on till today through thousands of Montessorians all the year, right? So this was something that, that Maria did towards the last years of hers. And when she was 82 years, she passed away. Okay, so this is the story of Dr. Maria Montessori. And we have to really appreciate that her work lives on till today through thousands of Montessorians all over the world. And we are still continuing with her good work, and we are still learning about her work, and we still have many more students like you who are wanting to know about Dr. Maria Montessori, who are wanting to learn her work, and who wanted to, educate the children in the Montessori way. And you are all considered to be as one of the Montessorian, and we're so proud of all of you for choosing this education. And what Dr. Montessori said was like, the greatest sign of success for a teacher is to be able to say, children are now working as I did not exist, right? So that means how much of independence that you would have given to the child, and how much the child has learned without you being there, right? The teacher need not be there. So that is the greatest success. Even if you are not there also, if the children are able to do their work, and that's the greatest success for any teacher. So you should all aim for that. So what a wonderful saying Dr. Montessori said. I want everybody to note down this saying. The greatest sign of success for a teacher is to be able to say that the children are now working as if I did not exist. So this is one of the saying that I love the most. There are many, many sayings, but I've picked the best three for all of you. So this is one which I love to share. And the second thing is like, they never help a child with a task at which he feels he can succeed. Most of the time we go on interrupt because we want the child to hurry up and finish it at the earliest, right? So never help a child. If he is confident to do that, let him do that. So this is the second thing that I like it the most. And the third one which I liked about Doctor's principle is the education of even a small child, therefore, does not aim at preparing him for school, but for life. So all our education methodologies, whatever you teach in your class, should not be there for a particular period, or you're not preparing for 1 year or 6 months of your tenure, but you're helping the child prepare for his life, right? So this has to be something that we all have to remember. Being the Montessorians, anytime that you're educating a small child, don't aim for just one class. Just aim for, can he learn it for his life? If you're teaching numbers, make sure that the child remembers for the rest of the life. If you're teaching a letter, make sure your child remembers the letter for the rest of the life. Okay, you're teaching some sensorial activity, let him do that. Let him get that skill, which is going to help him for his life and not only for the school. What wonderful statement. So you can go through a lot of quotes on Dr. Maria Montessori, whatever inspires you, keep it as your, you know, screensaver. You get motivated most of the times. So this is our today's lesson. So what an inspirational story about Dr. Maria Montessori. I hope you all got a little good limelight about her. You also learned about her work, her struggles, how well it is. So to conclude, I wanted to share this particular note. The child is endowed with unknown powers which can guide us to a radiant future. If what we really want is a new world, then education must take as its aim the development of these hidden possibilities. Okay, so this is something that I liked it. I wanted to share with all of you. So this is from bitsofpositivity.com. So this is something which is very good to hear. So that means the child has so many unknown powers, right? In case if you can find out what are those unknown powers, it can guide us, right, to a radiant future. So that means children are also teaching us every day to lead to our future. If what we really want is a new world, we all say, right, we want to change something, we want a better world, we want to have a new world, nice world, then education must take the aim that the development of these hidden possibilities should happen. So you need to aim, you need to check what are those hidden possibilities that every child has, because every child has unknown powers. So if you are able to identify those, as a teacher you will be very successful in helping or guiding the child to move towards his radiant future. Okay, so what a lovely statement to end our day with. So this is for today's topic. Thank you very much, guys, for joining me in today's session. So it's been a wonderful theory session that we all had it. And if you have any clarifications or any doubts, you can always reach me out. And thank you so much for submitting yesterday's assignments. So I've just dropped my number, and there's also email ID, and that you can actually get in touch with us. Okay, so that's it for today's class. Thank you very much. So we're going to be working on that particular aspect. So once this is all done is where we actually help Maria Montessori to work. We learn about her travels, the way that she would be able to travel to different parts of the globe. And we also saw that. And what else? The travel to US, the travel to Europe, the travel to India, and the last few days of Dr. Maria Montessori. So it's such a short chapter. And if you go through, okay, make a timeline and write down the timelines. So it's going to be helping all of you to actually work in your today's session. Okay.
Can you say me what Montessori's father used to do? Civil servant, soldier, or like in finance, Ministry of Finance? Like
See
I got.
yeah, see there'll be different paths, right? So Ministry of Finance. So that is again, he's working in military. Again, in military, you will have different, divisions, we could actually say. So he was a civil servant. So that means anybody who is actually protecting the civilians is considered to be as a civil servant. Or we can also call him as a military soldier. And he was working in the Ministry of Finance. Okay, so he's a civil servant and military. Yeah.
Okay. Ma'am, will you share this PDF file?
You need it. It is there in your book. Same to same lines I've copied. But you want to see the visual pictures? I'll share you the recording too. Go through it. Yeah. Visuals are always better, no?
Yes, ma'am.
So
It
see,
feels more interesting, ma'am. Easy
yes,
to remember.
easy to remember. Yeah. Go through your book page by page. If you missed out anything, you can take a look through. Can somebody take screenshots and share it in the group so we can also share that? So this is what we have it in our chapter. So we talk about early education. So whenever you have a question on talk about Maria's birth and early education, so you can speak about the year of birth of Dr. Montessori. We can also talk about her parents. You can also talk about how Maria was as a child, a very self-confident, very optimistic child. So you can talk about that. Second question is like, what was her early education? So anytime that you have anything related to early education, so this is where you talk about her technical schooling. Okay, so where she graduates from Regio Institute of Technological Institute, Leonardo da Vinci. So that is from a period of 86 to 90, right? So 4 years, you can see there. So that means from 1870, what is the next number that we get it? 1886. So that means there is 16 years of gap. So after 16 years is where Maria gets into the technical school and she takes up modern languages. She reads about natural sciences. So for how many years? For 4 years she does this. From when to when? From 86 to 90. So you can write down this. So these are the two important lines. So 1870 she was born. 86 after 16 years, that is when Maria graduates from the Technical Institute. So she joins the Technical Institute in 86 and in 1890 is where she actually passes out a technical schooling. And then later, she wanted to do medicine, but she could not. The third question could be, how did Maria become the first women doctor of Italy? Now, you again here you will talk about a little story about how the University of Rome did not allow Maria to take up the medical courses because of the gender differences what she actually had it. But Maria never gave up, but still she studied physics, she still studied natural sciences, she still studied on math, right? So we're going to be working on all of that. Again in 92, so there's 2 years. Maria did not live all of that, but 2 years she did not waste. But what did she do? She again received a diploma of licenza, so which made her eligible to study medicine. So she did not give up. Now again, can she? What else that she actually had it? So in 1896, so that means she took 4 years to actually learn about the course, and she performs on the recommendation of Pope Leo 13, and she presents the thesis in 1896. So this is something that you need to be noting it down, and that is where she gets the degree of medicine. So this is the first page, and we are good to go with 3 questions. Everybody are clear for 3 questions? So if you read through it, it becomes very easy. Now, moving forward, if you're going for the second page, now you take a look at the second page, all of you. Now, second page is where we talk about the field of education, like what initiated Maria to come into the field of education. So she had a degree. Now she was also got a job. She was working as a surgical assistant in Santo Spirito. Okay, these are some of the points that we missed, right? Which is added in your book. Okay. Now, soon after Maria finishes her education, Maria did not get a job, but again she had to forcefully work as a surgical assistant in Santo Spirito. And at the same time, she was also continuing her research in the University of Rome, and she became the member of the university psychiatric clinic also. So these are the 2 points that we can also work. So she's doing research. At the same time, she's also working as a surgical assistant at Santo Spirito. Now, same there, what happened? They send her to perform a research, right? So that is when she goes with group of 10 people. We saw that she goes to a place where children were mentally challenged. That is where she understands that these children can be educated, but this is not the way that they need to be educated. So Maria was very depressed. We also talk about that story, right? And Maria comes back, and that is when she discovers about the work of two Frenchmen, Jean Etard, Edward Seguin. And so they were the people who actually were working with mentally handicapped or mentally challenged children, and they were helping them to work on senses of sight, senses of touch. So Maria studies their work, reads the book of Froebel, and that is how she gets inspired into field of educating children who were challenged. So these were the people. So you can also talk about their influences: Jean Etard, Edward Seguin, and Froebel. And what was the challenges that they actually faced, and how did she become the first what was the first Montessori miracle? So Montessori miracle is when Maria asks all these mentally challenged children to appear for the state exam. The children do appear for the state exam and they all pass out with above average scoring in reading and writing. That is the achievement of Maria Montessori, and we call that as the first Montessorian miracle. Clear? Now, looking at all the success, looking at all of these things, the government of Rome now asked Maria to apply this methodology, whatever she has learned it in Schola Interferentia, and they tell, why don't you do this or teach this to the normal or the conventional children? So from there, the journey gets into the schooling. So if you see the other things, so Maria starts her work and she opens up her school in 1907 and she calls it as Cassidy Bambini. That is where she learns about all these things. So if you see here, she absorbed knowledge effortless. She saw how children were absorbing knowledges effortlessly. She saw how children were teaching themselves, and she saw how we have to educate the senses rather than the intellect. And from there on, Maria starts training the courses. So the next question is about what was the training courses, where did she do, and what was her travel. So sooner she starts moving to America. She was invited by the president daughter Margaret Wilson, and we saw the journey in America. Sooner she goes to Europe, and again, we also saw that Mussolini's government and the colonial ambitions and the wartime and other thing. And we also sooner saw that Maria was totally exiled from Italy because she did not agree for the members of the schools to participate in the fascist organization. Then Maria comes down to India with her son Mario, and she meets Rukmini Devi and Arundale, right? So, who was the president of Theosophical Society at India. So that is how the travel of Maria Montessori is also there. And last days of Maria Montessori, you can also see and how she passes out in the year 1952. Her work still remains very much intact. Okay, so this is the small gist. You can go through your book. Your book has given amazing points, and that covers the book. Okay, so it's a 5-page lesson. There's so much to learn about Dr. Maria Montessori, but this is still good enough for all of us to learn through. Okay, so read it today itself. So if you have any doubts, tomorrow we can have it. So tomorrow I'm going to randomly pick all of you. So tomorrow I'm not going to be taking any classes. So I'll ask you questions, and I'm also going to give you a mock paper. Okay, so I'm going to give you a test paper. I did not do this for practical exams because practicals are little easy. Once you understand, you can work. But theory, you have to read. Okay, how many of you will have time to read? We have a small test tomorrow. Okay, you all have to read. How much ever is possible, please read. It's just 5 pages. 2 times you read. How much ever you know, you write it. I'll help you. Okay, so we can cheat tomorrow. Cheating is possible. Okay, yes, Ranjini. So Ranjini is good enough. Sunata is smiling. Hamsa ma'am has got pen on the chin, and Lavanya is scratching her head. They're like, okay, well, what happened to Divya ma'am? Why all of a sudden test and other things? Guys, it's already September. Okay, so we have October, November, December. So 3-4 months more for theory, and then there'll be so much that you will have to be doing in your course, right? So you need to speeden up a little. Okay, so as soon as we finish a theory, we'll do a small test. That'll help you to also understand. After the test, forget about the chapter. During the exam, you can have. So I'll give you simple tips. So there's something called as revision strategy. Okay, so for long-term memory, why do we all remember alphabets and numbers so very well? Because our teachers did so much of revision, repetition in the kindergarten. And why don't you remember anything that you learnt in grade 1, grade 2, grade 3? Because we did one chapter, we did a test, we forgot about it, right? So we did not do so much of revisions and other things as we did in a kindergarten. Kindergarten, why we remember? How many of you will remember your nursery teacher? All of us, most of us, we remember our nursery teachers. But do you remember your 5th standard, 6th standard teacher? If I ask you who taught you English, very intelligent teachers, children like Ranjini will remember, but children who have little, difficulty in remembering, we will forget. Okay. So if I ask you that, it is little difficult. Okay. So that's the reason they would do a lot of repetition activity. So we need to also do a lot of repetition activities till our exams. So you will not forget about Dr. Montessori by end of the year or in your lifetime. Okay, for me, I don't have to see the book itself. I can talk more and more about Dr. Maria Montessori because you get inspired by her work, right? So you need to also get inspired. So don't take it like I'm reading a book, I need to do that. So tomorrow when you're saying, I need to see the spark in your eye. Okay, you have to get motivated when you're actually talking about. So I will be judging you on these parameters also, like how happy are you when you're talking about Dr. Maria Montessori. And everybody, we're going to record. So tomorrow everybody will come neatly dressed. Okay, so no home clothes, no nighties, no pajamas. I'll put it off record.